It's the end of the year again, and I'm working on cleaning not only my desk, but my whole room and my garage and my office and all kinds of stuff. And I decided to talk about it. All right, so what keeps happening for me, well, it's kind of funny. A couple of years ago, I was trying to get my office under control. And what's happened, this has happened for me over and over again over the years, is that when things get to a certain point, I will have a stack of paper, and I will just take that stack of paper, I'll put it in a box, it'll be all these things, and I'll fill that box up, and I'll set the box to the side. And then that goes into my closet or wherever. And then later I'm like, where's this paper? What is this? And I go find it again and I dig it out and I'm like, I should clean up. I really need to clean. And then sometimes in my life there's been 2 or 3 of those boxes. And I remember one specifically that was brought to memory today. And so as I'm looking for things, I'm like, I just need to get my life in order. And so over the past couple of years, I have worked very hard to, when paperwork shows up on my desk, I try to immediately put it either on on one of my little pocket. I have a little shelf over here, one for Living Water Fellowship, one for the movies, one for Thorn Crown Project, one for the Gravers, just different categories. So I can just go ahead and when an envelope comes in, instead of waiting until later, I just go ahead and say, okay, that goes here, and I stick it where it goes. And then I try to clear out each little cubby hole periodically, at least once a month. In fact, my calendar says on it that I'm supposed to clear out that each day of the week I'm supposed to focus at least an hour in the morning on one of the different companies that were areas of responsibility. So that I would start out, Monday morning I'm looking at a bunch of Living Water Fellowship stuff, and then Tuesday morning I'm looking at a lot of times it's trail life things that I'm dealing with, and then on Wednesday morning I'm dealing with Thorn Crown Project, and by Thursday morning I'm doing any of the movie projects, We Three Kings, Breaking the Silence, Indescribable, whatever. I'm working on those things. And then Friday is my day to basically, whatever I've missed that week, I have to try to catch up with on that day. So I have this plan so that I can actually keep up with things. But a couple of years ago, this was still back in the apartment, and it was becoming so much that I decided I needed to do something about it. So that year, at the end of the year, beginning of the year, I got the Entree Leadership. There was something, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like I don't know if it was a month-long thing or just a couple weeks, but it was a series of projects that I would get the email from Entree Leadership about it, and it would be a project for each day, and the idea was to help you meet a goal that you had, and it was supposed to go for about a month. And I forget exactly how many days. It was like 20 days, 28 days. I don't remember. But it was this many days, and there was a bite-sized, manageable project for each day. And I'm telling you all of this because when I saw it, I thought, if I took that process that they're using, and they're sending out the emails and encouraging you and getting you to write stuff down, if I use that to clean off my desk and classify everything, that would be a really good thing for the beginning of the year here. So I signed up for the Entree Leadership, whatever. And so first day, they're asking you what your goals are, so I'm writing it in. My goal is I want to clean my desk. So second day, and so each day they give you a little bit of a project, and so they say, write it down, do this, do that. So about the 3rd or 4th day, the project for the day was cleaning off your desk. And I remember sitting there, I got the paper, I'm looking at it going, but that's my big goal. Like, my huge goal is to clean off my desk. And you want me to just clean it off right now in preparation for my big goal, but you don't understand. My desk is, it is a big goal just to clean it up. So now every time that I'm working on my desk, I remember that time, and I'm like, okay, it is a big goal of mine to keep my desk clear, but it should be something, there should be a process involved so that I can actually clear it quickly and easily, that I could put things where they go. So that's when the slots showed up for each of the companies. That's when I started putting things in the file cabinet immediately. So for instance, when a statement comes in, I used to just stack statements somewhere. Now I will go ahead. I know that I will probably not reconcile each account every month. And so when the statement comes in, I open it, I throw the envelope away, I keep the statement, staple it together, I put it in its file cabinet, in its folder where it belongs. And that way, when it's time for me to actually do the reconciling, I walk to the file cabinet, I grab out all the ones that haven't been reconciled yet, and I can catch all of them up, because it seems every time I do an account, I'm doing 3 months, or maybe not always 3 months, but at least 2 months is what it seems like that I'm reconciling to catch up with. So today, between Christmas and New Year's this week, that's actually what I'm doing. I'm cleaning the desk, but it's more than just my desk. It's my whole office space. And one of the things that had been happening was I was getting so many CDs that were just stacking up, like hundreds of these, and they were stacking up. And I have a nice an old CD player back there that mixes a bunch of, you can put them in there. And so my boys like to come down here to actually play music and stuff. So I want to keep some music available to them to play. But in their attempt to find music, for instance, this past week, they couldn't find one of Amos Raber's CDs, and they love Amos Raber's music, and so they're looking for that CD. And next thing I know, every CD that I own is on a pile. It was back there, right there on the floor. So if you look on the floor down there, there's still a remnant of things. See, right there on the bottom, underneath the CD player, there's still some DVDs and stuff stacked down there. Well, that's next. But I took the whole pile of CDs, and I sorted through them, and so this is what I'm doing. I decided, okay, it's time for me to clean this area of my life and make it where it functions. So I am actually going through, making sure that all the CDs that I own, that I've ripped them. And so they're on my computer folder so that I can actually access them from various different devices. And so I'm ripping them, making sure they're uploaded in the right places, classified the right way. I'm doing that this week. So I have over here now still, it looks like about 70, well, actually probably only 50 CD cases left on this side of my desk. So my desk was clear enough that I was able to put away a few things, clear it enough, and set the CDs on there. And then over here on this side of my desk, I was able to clear a few things enough so that I have the CD wallets where I'm putting them. So if it's a CD that I want to keep, I'm throwing them into here, into a CD wallet, so that I have them either in the RV or in my car. And then occasionally there are a few CDs that are precious enough to me that I'm like, and I want to keep the actual CDs. So I'm keeping a few of them over there. Hey Hudson, are you about to head out? Yep, I'm talking about all the CDs that I was doing and all the music and how much you like Amos Raber's music. Yep. So, are you going to go shopping with Mama?
Yep.
That's awesome. It's almost like a date, huh? Yeah. So this is a coffee talk. See, here's my coffee, and I'm talking. So that's what's happening right now. All right, have fun with Mama. So that's what I'm doing with the CDs. I'm keeping the CDs I want and a few CDs, and I think I have a couple of them stuffed over here. Let's see. So for instance, these are a few of the ones I'm keeping. My boys absolutely love this CD from Amos Raber, Sing Me Back Home, so I'm keeping it. This, John Kramer, I talked about the John Kramer's music, so this is When Evening Fades, but he is the one who wrote the actual music for us for me for the coffee talk. So the bumper music at the beginning and the closing, John Kramer wrote it, and I have several albums of his, and I actually have several of his digital albums that I don't have the CDs for. This was one. So this is a Michael W. Smith, the Freedom album, and I don't know, this piece of music, I remember it was kind of a rainy night. I was in South Austin, and I went to, I think it's a Hastings or a Half Price Books down there. I don't know how many years ago it was, and I found this bit of music, and I took it back out, and I was staying at the little cabin there at West Point, and I remember putting it in the CD player there, and it was a cold, rainy, lonely night. I was not with anyone else, and I started listening to this music, the Freedom. It's the Freedom album, and I just love this album, and so it was such a huge encouragement to me. No words, just music. That I'm actually like, I didn't want to just keep the music on, even though I have it on my computer and on my phone. I wanted to keep the CD, so I'm actually keeping it in the case. And I have a few others like that, where I'm keeping them. This was the New Heart. This was the Gospel Express team back, I don't know, well, maybe 16 years ago now, actually. And my friend Marion Esch is on this album. So he's on here. He sang on there. So that meant a lot to me, so I wanted to keep it. So anyway, I have a few that I'm just keeping for various reasons. And I haven't totally sorted out which ones I'm keeping and not. But it is so good to take stock of what we have. And you know, for me, when the CDs are just piling up over there on the floor and making a mess, that was not okay. So I had to say, okay, I got to do something. So right now my whole office is in a bit of a turmoil because of what I'm doing. So I'm doing the CDs first. As soon as I've got those done, then all the DVDs are coming out. We're going to do that to the DVDs. And I'm going to put DVDs in a wallet as well and keep the ones that we actually need. And then once I've done all the DVDs, well, then I'm going to be doing all my books everywhere. I just need to go through my books, reorganize them, and I'm trying to see if there's a way to add another shelf over the corner you can't see. It's this corner over there, right there, that corner of the room. There's one corner of the room that doesn't have a DVD, doesn't have a bookshelf in it. So I'm looking at, can I actually put something there? So I'm cleaning my desk, and I'm cleaning through, and then on Sunday, let's see, oh, not Sunday, on Christmas Day, we did some fun things as a family. We were doing some artwork, and I keep being reminded of how many things in my life I didn't do in the past because of how afraid I was that I wouldn't get it right or wouldn't do a good job with it. So the perfectionist in me kept me from doing things, because I was like, when I do that, I'm going to do it really well. And so I don't think I can do it really well right now, so I'm just not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait. Well, sometimes you have to just do things. Let's see here. So on Sunday, let's see if I can show you this. I set this up in the kitchen. You can kind of see here. Yeah, so I set up a poinsettia on a table with a little light there, and I put this chalk thing on the background. And so that was going to be the still life subject, so we could actually paint it. And then we all got there and we began painting. And so all the children come in. Let's see, here's a picture of my wife working with all the boys. So they're all set up. I put up some lights. They're all set up looking at it. They're all beginning to do their paintings. I think here is a picture where Stacy's pointing things to Hudson and saying, do it this way. And so they're deciding how they're going to paint it. There's Hudson with his he found out he didn't want to get his shirt dirty, so he took his shirt off and later got another shirt. But so here he's beginning the backdrop. He's beginning to paint things. So that was pretty cool. We were having just a painting Christmas. It was just, that's what we did. We painted pretty much all afternoon. So in the morning they opened up some of their presents, and by afternoon we were just painting. So let's see. Here's a picture that shows the backdrop that I had. I started drawing, painting my picture. They're all over there working on theirs. And so we just sat around in the living room, in the kitchen there, the dining room, and we were just painting. painting and painting. It was a lot of fun. And as I was doing it, the temptation was, oh, I could do this better if I took more time. And as the afternoon went on and we had to stop and eat supper and other things, as each of the boys was finishing theirs, I'm done, they were done with their pictures, I was really fighting the temptation of saying, well, if I took several days, if I just kept coming back to get this, I could really do a really good job, right? I could make it just perfect. I was like, no, there's a technique that I was wanting to do with these flowers. Let me just do it. And so as each of the boys was getting closer to being done, I think this picture, I love this picture with my wife and Hudson working together. So there they are working together on it. That was awesome. And then as we were going along, I thought, well, I want to make sure I finish mine. So for instance, here is Hudson Taylor showing his picture. So this was when he was finished. He had finished his photo or his painting. And so Hudson has really taken on the identity of being an artist. He's an artist. He wants to do artwork. So he's been working hard to be an artist. And so he's getting better and better at taking learning from his mama, letting her teach him and train him a little bit. So that's been good. He's been getting better at that. And for a while there, he just was like, no, I'm going to do it myself, and then it would be his own way, and it wasn't always good. Well, he's been getting better about actually taking feedback, accepting feedback. But he's also just doing it. He's finishing things. So I'm actually learning things from my boys as we do this. So here was Peter had done something with pencil color. And then I have somewhere here a photo of Eric. Eric did pastels for the first time. He hadn't ever done pastels before, but he did something with pastels. Here we go. So that was his picture with pastels. He did this. He even included the little bit of the plaid cloth back there. So that was pretty cool. And then by the time that the boys were going to bed, my wife said, all right, I think I'm finished with mine. So we, let's see, here we go. Here's Stacy showing her finished work. So this was, Stacy said, I'm done with mine. Here it is. So that was her technique. She paints completely differently from me. I love the colors and things that she uses in there, but it's so different from what I do. And then as we were getting ready, she was getting ready for bed. I said, well, I have a few little things I still need to do to mine, but go ahead and take a picture of me with mine. And so she did. So here is me with the painting I was doing. And so this style that I was doing here is something that I've been wanting to do, just a little more painting. It's almost impressionistic, and I like doing it, but I just need to practice more and just actually do more painting. So when we're all the way finished, let's see. Here's Stacy's painting. There's Stacy's painting, and one of these directions, let's see, how do I find mine? Here's my painting. Okay, there we go. And so I finished it, and I had added these two little things here in the poinsettia. And so as I was finishing all of that, I thought, okay, I'm done. I'm going to just finish it for the night. So I did. I looked at it, and by the time I went to bed, I was finished with the painting. I was not doing anything else to it. So that was a good step for me, because a lot of times I get all hung up and I just don't do anything more. So here is the picture. We actually went ahead and put those three on the wall in our dining room. So they're on the wall there, and I think I might have adjusted them slightly, but this was just a quick photo. So this is what was happening, and I am sharing all of this because of something that happened then later today. All of my life, I have identified as certain things. Like, I've identified as an artist from an early age. And then from about the time I was 18, I have felt that God had called me to be a filmmaker. I just didn't know all about it at the beginning, but I really felt God had called me to make movies. from the time I was 15. I had sensed God calling me to serve Him, and I've always identified that I'm supposed to be serving the Lord as a speaker, whether it's a pastor, a preacher, guest speaker, whatever. Somehow I'm supposed to be doing something for the gospel, presenting truth, right? Teaching, preaching, something. And so I've always had these, knowing that I'm supposed to do something. And I just mentioned earlier that, like with the art one, that my perfectionism would sometimes keep me from doing something. But the chalk art was actually one of the areas where I, from the time I was 18 on, was presenting things even when they weren't perfect. I would do my best, and some of the pictures were embarrassing, some of them were really awesome, and it was great. What I loved about it was how much it made me aware that I could serve the Lord in this way, that if I submitted and surrendered myself to Him. And as I did, as I was surrendering to Him, then it made it possible for people to actually be encouraged. My words, my artwork, my work, the things I was doing could actually encourage someone else's faith. And so that was awesome. I wanted to encourage other people's faith. And I wanted to be used by God. So I was really glad that through those years when I wasn't perfect, I was driven enough that I said, I got to do this. And so chalk art was one of the areas where I worked hard, but I didn't let perfectionism stop me, and I kept working at it. My coffee today is actually from, so the mug, I've said this before, it comes from my brother-in-law Isaiah gave it to me a couple Christmases ago. And then the coffee is from, it's from a local town in Colorado here in Nederland, Colorado. And it's a 3-bean blend that they had there. So anyway, that's my coffee. Just thought I'd throw that in there. But in the years that I was going around and doing the gospel chalk art, the thing that kept me from abandoning, like in so many other areas, I would become immobilized by my desire for perfection. But from 18 to 33, I was actually doing the gospel chalk art and traveling around, going to churches and doing it. And sometimes the presentations were awesome. Sometimes it took me longer than I wanted to. Sometimes I didn't like the way they turned out. Sometimes there were so many things about it, but I kept seeing God using it and blessing it. So I kept doing it. And I was learning something. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was learning how important it was to just keep going and doing things. Well, when I was cleaning my office, because of the painting, I got out my big boxes of art supplies that are underneath my desk, and I was working through those, and I thought, okay, I got to get this cleaned out. So as I'm cleaning those out, I found several things. One of the things I found was this sketchbook. So this sketchbook was one that I think someone gave me for Christmas in 2005. So in March of 2006, I sketched this little picture, said Memories by Joseph, and I put a few sketches in here, but not as many as I had thought I would. And so it has a lot of planning stuff where I'm planning something, and so I have some different things planning and such. But in the back, I found a list, something that I thought I had lost. I had this book, New Year's Day 2006, and I wrote down goals. And I think this might be one of the first times that I actually sat down. I said, what are some goals? And I put months on them. So for the next 6 months, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had goals for the next 7 months of what I wanted to accomplish. And it was, some of it was like, I want to have this much money in savings. I want to have this much here. I want to do this. I want to do that. But they were all achievable based on my income at the time and what I was doing. So I thought, okay, this can happen. Well, I did January and February's goals. I got those checked off. That was good. And then in April, I was revisiting this, and I actually, for the first time, took a list of goals that I had written down, and I had to rewrite them. The reason I was rewriting them is my June goal on the original list was to have a down payment to buy a house. At the time, I was living in a little building, a little house behind my parents' place, And in February, I believe it was February or March, they moved. They bought another place down, 20 miles away, and the new property didn't have the same house for me to rent from them in the back. So I had to find different. I mean, there was a bed I could sleep in the house, but there was no space for me for my office, for my chalk room, for any of my things. And so I needed to find a different space. And so I remember I actually wrote it down here. This little list here, this little note over here is me explaining how in March my parents bought a house and they moved, and now I need to move. And so I suddenly said my goal was in June to have a down payment for a house, but it's time now. I need to move this up. So I put it first. For March was a financial goal. I needed to do something, and by May I needed to somehow I needed to do something for a down payment. And so my original goal was June. Now I had moved it up to by May I needed to be buying a house, and so only 1 month I moved it up. But what was fascinating was by the end of June I was actually signing the papers and moving into my own house. And as I was moving into my own house, it's to me, looking back now, that's 16 years ago, I wrote down a goal of buying a house for the first time. I'm clarifying what I think God is wanting me to do. And then I did it. By June, I had bought a house. Now, there are other things on this list that I didn't actually get done. Some of these things that are on this list, like my goal for July, didn't happen for several more years. I think 7 more years before I got to my goal for July. 3 years on one of the goals and 7 years on the next one. So not every goal automatically got done, but because I had written them down, I'm able to go back and look at it and say, what was I thinking? And this was probably the first time, instead of writing huge, impossible, perfectionist goals, I actually wrote down things that I could actually accomplish. And that was huge. I thought I'd lost this book, so when I found this the other day, I was so excited. I sat down and I was reading it, and I was looking at all the different pieces. And what was awesome is how many times that year I rewrote my list and would update my goal list. I was so glad I did that. It's so neat to see that. But I also found right here is a quick list of an idea. And it was my first writing down of an idea of wanting to do a weekly video of some kind, like what I'm doing right now this minute, the coffee talks. At the time I didn't know what I wanted to call them, but I was like, I want to do something where I give something every week. And I didn't know, was it going to be about art? What was it going to be about? And so I made a list of ideas and thoughts that I thought maybe it would be about this. And so it's fascinating for me 16 years later to look at that and say, now I know what my weekly thing looks like, but it's not even what I wrote down there, but the heart and idea I think is very similar. So there are times in our life where we have to go back and remind ourselves of what God has done, but there's a lot of times, and this is the time that I'm in right now, where I have to look at all of the stuff that's in my life, and I have to say, how can I clean my desk so that I can move forward in a meaningful way? And so that's what I'm doing this week. I have a bunch of accounting I need to do before this week is over. I have all these CDs left that I'm having to rip, and then I'm going to do something with the DVDs and something with the books. I want to clean this space. I'm actually wanting to bring a different, like a table desk over here on this side of me so that I can set it up to work as my writing desk, where I can put a few things that just stay on that desk. But every time I make a surface, it becomes a war to keep the surface clean. So I know it's going to be a battle, but I'm really looking forward to this year. I've really been appreciating how much I've been able to seek the Lord and to say, Lord, what do you want from me this year? What's next? What am I supposed to be working on? And to see that I have a lot of options in front of me. There's a lot of things on my desk. But I get to seek the Lord's face on this, and it feels like I'm working alongside Him in what He is doing. So this week between Christmas and New Year's, it's a precious week. It's actually the week in which I did my very first coffee talk. And so I almost did the anniversary coffee talk today, which I think I could have. It's either I need to look which date it is, but I decided that I'm going to do the anniversary coffee talk a different day this week. So I'm probably going to do 2 coffee talks here at the end of 2021 because I wanted to talk specifically about the anniversary of this and how it started. So sometimes, going back to my first part of the when I was talking, you have a big goal, like cleaning your desk, and on day 3 of my big goal of cleaning, maybe it was day 5, anyway, on my big goal of cleaning my desk, I was told, clean off your desk. That'll help you achieve your goal. I'm like, yes, it will help me achieve my goal, but that is the big goal. And so I do love the clean surfaces that I can make on my desk now and have to actually see what's on it and not just see stacks of stuff. So right now I have a little bit too much of a stack of stuff right here in this corner that I'm going to be working on, and then all my CDs are over here making a big mess, but it's awesome. So I don't know what you're working on, but it's important for me to realize that it is better for me to do something than to wait until I can do it perfectly, to just go ahead and start and do it. And so as we work alongside the Lord, He's perfect. He can do perfect work. And sometimes He does perfect work in our imperfection, and I don't wait until I do it just right. So like these days, I clean up my desk. Even if the system I have isn't perfect, I go ahead and I clean it, because as I clean it, as I work through my space, even with the CDs and DVDs, I'm going to figure out a better way to do things. Hey guys.
Hi.
I'm about to say adios, so you came just in time to say goodbye.
Okay, bye.
So we'll see you all next week.